Reigning Champ Car champion Paul Tracy is known for his aggression. A go-for-broke move at Long Beach in the season opener got him to victory circle and kicked off talk of a repeat championship. But in the rounds that followed, Tracy has had his share of misfortune. A disappointing race in Monterrey, Mexico. An early crash at the Milwaukee Mile. And slow traffic in Portland meant the checkers went to other drivers. 1 week ago in Cleveland, Tracy took his first pole of the season, but any hopes for victory were short-lived. Tracy goes way left, contact, parts littering the racetrack. Now round 6 of the Champ Car World Series, back in Toronto. Tracy dominated a flag-to-flag run to victory 1 year ago. Will running on his home soil get Paul Tracy's title hopes back on track? Don't miss the Champ Car excitement. The Champ Car Grand Prix of Toronto is next. Bridgestone presents the Champ Car World Series, powered by Ford. Today, coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Toronto. A beautiful day for racing at Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The 19th time that the Champ Car World Series is performed here by the shores of Lake Ontario. As always, a huge crowd of fans has turned out to witness the Champ Car World Series, one of the signature events in the Tour for many, many years. Again, everyone, and welcome live to Toronto. I'm Rick Benjamin. I'll be joined momentarily by 4-time Trans Am champion Tommy Kendall. It's been a very interesting week. Sebastian Bourdais is the hottest driver on the Tour, but all the talk this week has been about what happened 1 week ago in Cleveland involving Paul Tracy and Alex Tagliani. Ready to go. Glad to have you with us, and we're underway. Tracy goes way left, 5 wide, contact. Tracy goes around.
Hard to say. I mean, I got a good start, had to jump. And the first thing I saw was Tagliani go flying by me in the braking zone, 100 miles an hour, too fast for the corner, and then I just got nailed. As soon as I turned for the corner, I got just nailed from the side.
You know, he's a big whiner. You know, right now it's not going for him the way he wants, and he's crying, so I'm going to let him cry by himself.
Alex who? When he wins a race, then I might give him a little bit of respect, but it's 5 years coming, so I don't really have much to say about him.
Right now he's in the crying mode, you know, so I'm going to let him do that by himself.
Put it bluntly, I'm not a person that really likes Alex Tagliani. He talks like he's a champion, but he's never done anything out on the racetrack to prove that, so that's really all I have to say about it.
So that's just a sampling of the war of words that's evolved over the last several days between Paul Tracy, Alex Tagliani, two native sons of this great land. But what really happened going into turn 1 week ago? Well, our Derek Daly breaks it down on tape.
So the war of words between Tag and Paul Tracy really escalated because of the first lap incident at Cleveland. Let's have a look at what really happened and where the blame really lies. Look at the videotape run to turn 1. Tracy and Wilson on the right side. Tagliani minds his own business down the left side of your screen. But the real key to how this unfolded is highlighted here, right side. These are the brake marker points, the reference points that Justin Wilson can no longer see because he's beside Paul Tracy. So you roll the videotape into the brake zone. Tracy brakes, Wilson doesn't expect it, and he suddenly swerves off to the inside and gets in the path of Tagliani, who's now ahead of him, braking late, but Wilson realizes, swerves back, and as you roll the videotape, you can see he collects and mugs the unsuspecting Paul Tracy, and shrapnel flies everywhere. So when you look at the videotape, it is clear that Paul Tracy is wrong to blame Tagliani for the first lap incident. I believe the blame lays squarely at the doorstep of Justin Wilson, our rookie.
Justin Wilson has been very impressive, but let's take a look at Alex Tagliani and Paul Tracy wheel to wheel, Tommy Kendall. It doesn't look as though Tagliani's got a lot to talk about.
Well, but that doesn't come into play in an individual incident. Now, for the record, the stewards agree with Derek Daly, but if this was my courtroom, Johnny Cochran could not get Alex Tagliani off because, and there's 5 guys who agree with me, the 5 guys who had the best view and know the most about it, the 5 guys who started in the front 3 rows besides Alex, they all said, had no idea where he was going. There was no way he was going to get stopped. Bourdais said, I thought he was going in the lake. So Alex has learned a lesson from Bill Clinton. He says, don't tell on yourself. He's just kind of kept it zipped up. He's been throwing barbs, but he's never said it wasn't my fault.
Very interesting developments all week long, and certainly all the carnage in Turn 1 at Cleveland. We don't expect something similar today, but there are a couple of very difficult spots on the track. We'll talk more about Turn 1 and Turn 3. First, though, let's check our starting lineup for today's Champ Car Grand Prix of Toronto. Sebastian Bourdais, Paul Tracy on the front row.
Now, without the edge that Tracy had in years past, he still hopes to grind these guys into the ground with the support of his hometown fans.
Row 2 of our starting grid powered by Ford. There's Junqueira with Dominguez.
And Bruno Junqueira told us last night Mario Dominguez is probably the most aggressive guy in the series.
Justin Wilson starts 5th today.
And don't expect last week's events to tame the aggression of that rookie, Justin Wilson. Ryan Hunter-Reay looking to try to get a road course result to match his dominant win on the oval at Milwaukee. In row 5, Alex Tagliani, don't look for last week to tame him and either. He's looking to go to the front. Jimmy Vasser, who struggled in qualifying, making small gains with the PKV team, but 3rd quickest in warm-up. In row 7, Mario Haberfeld, former Formula One test driver, but just really struggling trying to get that Reynard up to speed, starting to show some frustration. On row 8, you've got Roberto Gonzalez and Gaston Mazzacane, 2 rookies, neither of which come to grips with this circuit. In the last row, we have Mimo Gidley on 1 day's notice, coming here, only got in the car yesterday, but looking to become the super sub as he was known years ago.
As the field rolls away on the first of several pace laps, getting ready to line them up 2 by 2 and getting ready to go racing here today through the streets of Toronto. 3 different onboard looks for you here today. We'll ride with Paul Tracy, who lines up in 2nd spot. He is the defending series champion. Also from the 5th row in the Rocket Sports Johnson Controls Lola, this is Alex Tagliani. Mario Dominguez starts in 4th spot today in his Urdez machine, car number 55, and certainly a very strong qualifying run. Remember, they had gearbox problems and did not have a complete qualifying session yesterday. Dominguez, though, had knocked off some very, very good laps. Looking for a green flag. 95 laps to go here in Toronto. Great to have you with us, and we are underway at Exhibition Place. Bourdais, Tracy, Junqueira into 1. Justin Wilson on the inside.
Dominguez got in the wall on the outside. He and Bruno together.
Junqueira racing for the championship, being conservative, hard hit into the tire barrier. Will be caution at least in that part of the track, and it is a full course yellow. Tracy and Bourdais down the back straightaway, but they will back off and tuck in. First lap, Tommy Kendall.
Well, you saw Mario Dominguez said he was going to the front. He stayed up on the outside of Bruno Junqueira going through turn 1. I don't think Bruno saw him there. He was just off a little bit. They don't have spotters. I think Bruno let it out to the wall, not knowing Mario was right next to him in the big squeeze play. Another incident looks like AJ Allmendinger down in turn 3 with the yellows out.
Allmendinger has gotten offline. He gets pointed in the right direction. Here we are from the 4th starting spot, Dominguez.
Dominguez coming on the outside.
Cold tires here. Junqueira just clouded Dominguez.
Yep, he didn't realize that Mario was staying up on his outside there.
And there you can see the gesture. One more look from a little deeper angle.
And the concrete that Bruno is on is extremely slippery.
A hard hit into the tire barrier. There's Bruno Junqueira with the green and yellow helmet. Dominguez is out. Both drivers appear to be fine, but one would assume those cars are done for the afternoon. Here's another look at it. You can see the wheel off of the Urdez car, the 55 of Dominguez, and he and Junqueira just had nowhere to go but into the wall. Now, Tommy, side by side on the start like that, why would Bruno Junqueira not think there's a car alongside him?
Well, if you look, when they first hit the brakes, Dominguez was not up alongside. And so when they turned in, Dominguez was making a run from the center of the corner out. So he was out of Bruno's view and was coming back in. He was almost wheel to wheel with him.
Yeah.
But he in these cars, you really can't see very well out the sides with the head restraints have gotten built up and so forth. So I think he thought he was gone, got on the power, started to drift out, not realizing he was alongside him the whole way.
As we watch work going on pit road, let's take a look back at some of the turn 1 incidents this season. This is Tracy's move. He gets through cleanly, but Allmendinger goes around at Long Beach.
Well, there's a squeeze play with Allmendinger, and Jimmy Vasser was passing a bunch of guys on the outside here. Here's
Justin Wilson, I believe.
Lap 1, that was pretty much a case of, I think that was Justin Wilson.
Yeah. And then in Portland, back in June.
3 wide, squeeze play. Jourdain, the loser on this round.
And last week, of course, the one everyone's talking about at Cleveland, where Wilson went inside, outside. Tracy caught up in it. Tagliani down through the grass. And certainly it's been a case, I think, of a lot of these guys just needing to relax a little bit on the start.
Yes and no. I mean, it's high risk, but it's also the best chance to make a position so you can talk.
This is out the back end. And there is a punt.
That was when the two cars got together in front of them. Hunter-Reay was on the gas and wasn't expecting the car in front to check up.
As we ride with Tagliani, that view from the rear of Alex Tagliani's Lola, the Johnson Controls Rocket Sports car. So we are under full course caution after a couple of spins and then that hard hit into the wall. First to Calvin Fish.
Well, Rick, it's so ironic that Dominguez and Bruno Junqueira got together. We had the opportunity to sit down at dinner last night with Bruno Junqueira, talked about other drivers in the series, and he said, you know what, Mario Dominguez has really come on strong. He's very aggressive, but he doesn't do anything silly like some of the other guys in the championship. So for those two guys to get together, having had that conversation last night with Bruno, is kind of ironic. Also now here talking to the Newman Haas boys, we understand that Sebastian Bourdais claimed on his radio that PT had actually nailed him in the gearbox in the opening lap. So there's really a war going on there right now on the racetrack, Rick.
Certainly everyone wanting to get some advantage going down into turn one. Let's take a look as things stand in Toronto. We've completed just 2 laps, all under caution. Bourdais, Tracy, Wilson, Carpentier, Tagliani, your top 5 in front of a packed house. Downstairs, Derek Daly.
Tom Brown is the technical director at Herdez. Tom, you watched the replays, you watched the screen. What do you make of what just happened?
Well, we talked to Mario as well, and he looked to be well on the clear. And next minute, this purple missile just came right at us and just took us both out into turn one. It's so unnecessary at this level.
I don't think there's anything else you can say here, boys. Thanks. Bye.
Now the Herdez team obviously very frustrated. You can see Mario Dominguez raise his hands in disgust as the car slid into the tire barrier. One more look at it. Here's the contact through turn one. That's Junqueira on the inside. You're riding with Dominguez. And it knocked the right front corner off the 55 car. Riding with Alex Tagliani, preparing for the restart here at Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 6th event of the championship, the Champ Car World Series. And the incident on lap 1 involving Bruno Junqueira, the points leader, and Mario Dominguez. What will that do to the points chase? Let's take a look here as we ride with Tagliani. He'll restart 5th now. This is how they stood coming in today after 5 races. Bourdais collected the bonus point for winning the pole here overall in Saturday's qualifying round. Junqueira with just a 2-point lead. Carpentier 27 markers back of the lead. Tracy and Tagliani tied for 4th with Ryan Hunter-Reay just a point back. Let's head back to pit road.
Well, Bruno Junqueira is making that long walk back to his pit box, and Bruno, this is very frustrating with the points lead to get involved on the first lap. It looked like Mario had made a little bit of a move to your outside. Were you aware that he was side by side with you at that point?
I mean, first I was inside of Tracy. I could push hard and pass Tracy going to turn one, but I didn't want to take the risk. I didn't want to crash, being safe. Then I brake and slow down, let Tracy go. Then Mario saw the opportunity that I was inside, but for sure I was going to go to the left in the exit of the corner, and he just like sneak his nose there, you know, trying to get a position, but not smart. I mean, he took both guys out of the race. I was leading the championship with the Pacific car. I was so good this morning, and very, very frustrated. I'm very angry with this guy, you know, but let's see. I hope we can go back in Vancouver and try to do a good race, you know. It's very frustrating.
Okay, Bruno obviously feels that the risk there was a bit too high on the first lap with Dominguez. Derek Daly, what's gone down at your end of the pits?
Well, the incident also wrapped up Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's Mario Dominguez's teammate. Have a look at the front wing here. We saw from the rear camera the incident where he hit AJ Allmendinger. Here's the damage from the tires. This actually wasn't the problem. He broke off the top of the wing section here. That was enough to make him want to make the stop. Now, Mario Dominguez just arrived. In fact, Mario is right here. Let's see if you can just hang on for a second. Mario, I know it's not the walk back you wanted. How did the incident unfold from your cockpit?
Well, he just didn't give me any room, really. You know, I went to the outside. He braked way on the inside, and there was enough room for 2 cars. And it's like all of a sudden he just turned in on me. You know, obviously he was not thinking of crashing on purpose either. But you have to leave the guy some, you know, just a little bit of room to get by, and there was no room at all.
Bruno believes you should have known that he was going to drift out. Do you buy that on a packed first corner like that?
He was okay. You know, it's just like he turned in on me. You know, it's a first corner. You're packed. you know, what is he thinking? That I'm going to lift and give him the corner? I'm going to the forward, to the front as well, you know. And I tell you what, I'm not going to lift. If I have the corner, or if we have some space, I'm not going to lift.
Thank you, Mario. It might be ironic that at a dinner last night with Bruno Junqueira, he believed Mario Dominguez was one of the most aggressive drivers in Champ Car, but he also said he never believes he'll make a dumb move. Ironic.
And Bruno knows what went down there, and Bruno, by his own words, he says Mario will always try when there's an opening. So I think even as he was saying it, you could tell he wasn't believing what he was saying. He's just frustrated.
Getting ready for a restart. Safety car is in. Leaders come off turn 11 and get ready to get back to business. Bourdais, Tracy, Justin Wilson, and Carpentier. The top 4 over the stripe, beginning lap number 6.
And that incident might have changed the outcome of this race from the standpoint that Tracy was having a go at Bourdais down at the other end of shoreline or Lakeshore, and now with a single file restart doesn't have the same opportunity.
Watching some of the cars a little further back, Justin Wilson has made a move. Wilson in 3rd spot. Carpentier 4th. There's Oriol Servia up to 7th off a great run last week. Gaston Mazzacani. Allmendinger trying to fight his way up through the field. Mimo Gidley in his first start for Rocket Sports in the Lease Plan 17. There's the Nextel car for Roberto Gonzalez from Mexico, the 21. Gonzalez in 10th spot. Bourdais leads. Tracy second, half a second the gap last time by. As we work on lap number 7 now.
Bourdais got it to 8, a hair hot. You saw him drift out almost to the tires.
As we watch Bourdais build on his lead, here's Tracy, second spot on the front straightaway. Tommy, the Bridgestone keys to the race.
Well, in tires, both the driver and the car, how hard are each of those on the tires? Because they can go 30, 34 laps on fuel. The tires really grease up. The track, I should say, especially greases up. But how long you can get your tires to go before they start giving up the ghost is the key. Patience, both on the start and when your car starts to go away. Not driving harder than the car will allow you. And then pit stop strategy, always a factor in Champ Car racing.
And you have to say that was an incident in turn 1 of impatience, perhaps on the part of Bruno Junqueira. Here's Michel Jourdain, who led laps last week at Cleveland. Early stop for tires and fuel, Tom. What's going on there?
Well, they were already at the back, so they might have decided, let's get a green flag out of the way. But now we're hearing that he thought he might have had a puncture. So with the windows being the way they are, that strategy, ordinarily that'd be a good move. But because the windows are so small, they still would have to make another stop later.
Watching the leaders come off the final turn into the front straightaway here at Exhibition Place. Packed house as always here in the streets of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 9 laps on the board. Let's take a look at our track map. There's turn 1 where several drivers came to heartache, and that's a very tough corner.
Well, we're familiar with turn 1. Now turn 2 becomes more important as the stint wears on, because when the tires start to wear, they're trying to go up through the gearbox, and it's almost flat out, but not quite. That determines how fast you get onto that long straightaway. Braking for turn 3, the other key part for overtaking, and that's also where the slick tires really comes into play. Really wreaks havoc under braking. 3, 4, 5, 6. Tight rhythm section, then it opens up a little bit, double right-handed through 7, 7A, then turn 8, 9, 10 onto the front straightaway.
Bourdais still leading. Tracy reeling in second spot. Michel Jourdain indeed was on pit road because of a cut-down tire, so a very early stop for that team. And we're hearing that Mimo Gidley got into Jourdain's car, perhaps at the end of the backstretch, and apparently caused that cut-down tire. So the leaders working to put another lap on the board. Now let's go back just a few moments ago. We're going to take a look at what Paul Tracy had going as they came. This is on the backstretch of the racetrack now. He's behind Bourdais.
You saw the push to pass with Bourdais.
Has to back off and tuck in. Little contact there.
Yep, little nose to tail. I think that what happened there is Bourdais saw the yellows first, lifted right when Tracy was thinking he was going to be going to throttle.
We have a helmet cam view from Paul Tracy's machine. We were hearing that Bourdais thought he had been hit by Tracy, but no visible damage on any of the race cars. So Tracy runs second, 6/10 behind last time by. Wilson, Carpentier, and Tagliani, your top 5. Watching the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Jimmy Vasser leads Oriol Servia, Rodolfo Levine. These 3 drivers have been going at it for the last several laps. If you're just joining us today, all the action on turn 1. Wild wreck between the series points leader, Bruno Junqueira, and Mario Dominguez, who qualified 4th. They lined up together in the second row. Paul Tracy and Sebastian Bourdais got off cleanly, but looked as though Bruno Junqueira just moved out as they came off the right-hand turn 1 heading to 2. He clipped the 55 car hard. Both machines went into the tire barrier. Both are done for the day. Your leader is Bourdais. 13 laps coming up this time. Paul Tracy rides in second. He's the defending race winner here. Let's go full throttle with the Champ Car champion. Down the backstretch here, running in second spot. Justin Wilson, though, closing in the MyJack car. Here comes Carpentier. Good battle up front, Tom.
Yeah, it really is. And it looks like Paul Tracy and Sebastian Bourdais are running the exact same speed. They are. That last lap, they were within 100th of each other in lap time.
Calvin Fish, you're in Sebastian Bourdais' pit. They couldn't be more pleased, I'm sure, with the early going here.
Well, things are certainly starting to fall their way. Remember, they had that disaster in Milwaukee, but Sebastian Bourdais has gone for 4 straight on road and street courses, and little things are starting to make a difference here. This morning in the warm-up, on the last lap of the warm-up, Sebastian was stranded out on course with low fuel pressure, and they managed to fix that very easily. But if that happened just 5 minutes later in the engine's life, that would have been the first lap of the race today. So Bruno Junqueira's out. That's the man he was chasing in the championship. Sebastian Bourdais is in his stride. PT needs to break that stride, not just because of the race win here today, but maybe the championship.
Well, Bourdais stretching it out now to 8/10 of a second over Paul Tracy. Tracy so dominant here a year ago, they just haven't quite been able to solve the 2-car.
Well, I think the 2-car has figured out. They said in the press notes that Sebastian said we learned something at Long Beach that really applies here, that they feel close that gap.
Alex Tagliani on board in the car number 8. This is the Rocket Sports Lower. Johnson controls on the side pods. You can see those Bridgestones working beautifully as Tagliani runs in 5th spot. Leaders coming around, getting close to completing lap number 16 of 95 here today. Sebastian Bourdais' success is due in large part to the Newman Haas team. We hooked up with one of the key guys on the crew. Mike Hartgraves handles the air jack, and he's a senior mechanic. We followed him at Cleveland.
Pit stops. Paul's a great guy. He's just like a regular Joe that, you know, he comes to the racetrack just to be around the race cars just like everybody else.
This is always the worst corner.
Oh, and turn 1 is it's like unbelievable. I'm the primary mechanic, and I prepare the car, whatever it takes to make sure that car is the fastest and the first one across the finish line.
Sebastian Bourdais, the race leader, will take his first fuel stop.
Scrub Bridgestones going on, not sticker tires. There's the wing change, only on the right front, not on the left front.
He likes the car. We made an adjustment to the front wing, and everything seems to be going well.
As we watch Bourdais continue to add to his lead.
Beforehand, it's just mental. It's all in your head, basically. You practice, and you think about it in your sleep, and then once you're out there, it's like a slow motion movie. It's only about 6 or 7 seconds, but it seems like it takes about an hour. It was another awesome stop, and he seems to be pulling out about a half a second a lap over Bruno.
Right now, though, this one firmly in the hands of Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais gunning for his 2nd consecutive win, his 3rd in 2004. Sebastian Bourdais is your winner of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Cleveland.
Yes, I think it's a pretty good result. I'll take it any day.
It's said all the time, Tommy Kendall Racing, really a team sport. These guys have a lot to do with Sebastian Bourdais' success.
And when people look at Newman Haas, one of the key things, the guys at Newman Haas have all been there. I think the least senior guy of the core group is maybe 9 or 10 years. So Carl Haas and Paul Newman done a great job of keeping people happy, keeping them up there. The fact that they're not in Indianapolis, I think probably works in their favor. People like living up there in Chicago. I think that's you see the wing plate, the left rear wing plate on Allmendinger's car has broken a little bit, and it's flapping.
Yeah. Some bracing looks to be knocked loose there. Now let's tell you why A.J. Allmendinger is important here. He's got 2 victories at this racetrack. He was loose there. There was a second incident at the end of the backstretch on turn 1. This is under caution now. He and Ryan Hunter-Reay. Ryan Hunter-Reay just turns out, it looks like, on Allmendinger, turns the 10 car around. Hunter-Reay was assessed a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact with A.J. Allmendinger.
That'll tick you off. I mean, now we understand that after that, the incident with Dominguez and Junqueira, they were dicing down in turn 3. Where Hunter-Reay obviously was not aware the yellows had come out and was still racing, got on the concrete patch and pushed out into Allmendinger. But someone should have told him the yellow was out.
18 laps are complete in Toronto. Bourdais leads Tracy by 0.7 of a second. Paul Tracy in second spot here in Toronto, trying to chase down race leader Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais on lap 22 has been out in front all the way alongside Tommy Kendall, Lambrick Benjamin, Derek Daly, and Calvin Fish on pit road for us on just a gorgeous day. We've had some wonderful weather this year in the Champ Car World Series, but midsummer in Toronto gets no better than this.
No, it doesn't, and I'm anxious to see how Sebastian Bourdais responds to the pressure. Look at Bourdais again having trouble in turn 8. But Sebastian Bourdais, I've talked about what a great front runner he is. I can't recall a race in his 2 seasons where he's been under intense pressure.
Trouble on the racetrack, full course caution. There's been an incident. We'll try to track it down for you. And Mimo Gidley, we're being told, has had a problem. He's gone into the tires at the end of the backstretch. Now, is that a hard enough impact to break the race car?
Probably not. Maybe the nose wings.
Let's see. This is Gidley in the blue and white lease plant car. Allmendinger swings inside him for 10th. And they touch. End of the front straightaway, end of the back straightaway. Those have been the 2 trouble spots. Gidley, great veteran of this series, 164 Champ Car starts, I believe he's made over the years. Has had a couple of podiums. It's been a couple of years that he's been away, but he's a wonderful character.
Not nearly that many. So I think it's down in the 30 starts. Right. 30 but what he's known for is he had a couple runs in a back-of-the-pack team, but he became a super sub a couple years ago, and he's one of the guys that if it was purely about desire, he would be the champ. Because for a couple seasons after he didn't have a ride, he drove to every single Champ Car race. I remember seeing him here at Toronto in his Toyota pickup truck. Had 200,000 miles on it. He'll sleep on somebody's floor. Used to sleep under the workbench at the go-kart shop that he worked at, and just really, really wants to do that. Got the call, said, I'm there.
Derek Daly.
In fact, Tommy, during his time at Ganassi, he did 36 starts in total, including that led 147 laps. But I always love to call him the gypsy driver because he grew up on a fishing boat, never lived on dry land until he was 13 years of age. But he was given a tall order this weekend because, as you know, he was at home, got the phone call Friday morning, get yourself up here. He only had an hour and a half in the car, and he was expected to qualify when everybody else has had most of the season. And as Memo said himself, plus the 2.5 years. The biggest problem he had when he got in here, Tommy, is he spent most of his preparation time in go-karts. He said when you jump into this type of horsepower, it's just massive.
Big change, certainly, although shifter karts are a great way to train for many of these drivers. Let's talk a moment about Nelson Philippe. He'd driven the first 5 races for Paul Gentilosi's team in the lease plan car. Contractual differences, apparently.
Well, that's the official reason. Reading between the lines, that tells me the money didn't show up. But no one's really saying a lot. People are the Rocket Sports people won't comment. But Nelson Philippe was talking a little bit in the press, making allegations that he was not receiving what he thought he should. I think that's a little bit hollow. I guarantee you put Paul Tracy in that car, he'll put it in the front 3 rows of the grid. So if they're saying you didn't give us what we need, I would argue that that's not why he was running at the back of the pack.
Philippe, the youngest driver in Champ Car history at age 17, getting set for the restart. Had a couple of top 10, top 12 finishes the last couple of races, mostly due to attrition, but LeasePlan is a sponsor he brought to the team, and it's on the car at least for this weekend. We're hearing that he might possibly be back in a car for another team in weeks to come in Champ Car. Second caution of the day, getting ready for the restart on lap 24. Gidley back underway. Bourdais continues to lead. Tracy, now what will he try to do? Can he snooker him on the restart?
I think I don't know about snookering him because he'll be ready for it, but he will be definitely bringing the heat.
Tracy there in the blue and white Index car. Third is Justin Wilson, who was involved in that big wreck with Tracy in turn 1 last week at Cleveland. Wilson with a good run so far. Here we go again.
What I was starting to say when that yellow came out is that we haven't seen Bourdais under intense pressure.
Yeah.
And so when he gets out front, things are going his way just like a metronome, just reeling off the laps. It'd be interesting to see how he does dealing with the pressure of Paul Tracy.
Bourdais up ahead of Tracy. Locks up the brakes into 3.
Always the toughest to lead because you get there first. Cold tires, you've got to be safe. The guy behind you can always gauge a little bit off where you're going. So you're in front, so that's an advantage, but you get to everything first, and you always have to roll the dice without any extra information from the guys in front of you.
Bourdais' lead about 4 or 5 car lengths over Tracy. Tracy leaned on the push-to-pass button on that restart to try to get the lead. Used 13 seconds of push-to-pass time, but didn't get him anywhere. He's still in second spot. Bourdais winning 2 straight coming in, gunning for 3 in a row. It's been a while since that's been done. Wilson and Carpentier are 3rd and 4th. Paul Tracy rides in second spot, working lap number 28 of 95 here today. 19th time the Champ Car World Series has come to the streets of Toronto. The fans here, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, so knowledgeable, so intense in their love for this brand of racing. The Champ Car World Series certainly has a home here in the streets of Toronto.
We're coming up to one of the pivotal moments in the race, the first round of pit stops. And as hard as these 2 guys have been pushing, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if any of these guys have been actually able to save fuel, because whichever one of these guys stops first will be at a distinct disadvantage. If they both stop on the same lap, obviously it's down to the pit crews who gets service done first. But if one guy goes longer than the other, they will lead after the first round of pit stops, is my prediction.
Justin Wilson in the MyJack Conquest car of Eric Bachelart. That's the 34. He is 3rd. The British rookie and Champ Car off a great season in Formula One and with a couple of very underfunded teams. Scored a point last year, which is no mean feat in Formula One racing for a rookie to do. As we ride with Tracy, it's been a difficult day for Ryan Hunter-Reay, the Milwaukee winner, where he dominated on the mile oval there, led every lap. He's had contact again here today. This is at the end of the backstretch. Just didn't get on the brakes strong enough. He got into the back end of Roberto Gonzalez and knocked the wing off again.
Yeah, it looks like Gonzalez also was pretty slow into that corner. A couple things happen. When you get real close to the car in front of you, when you need that last little squeeze of brakes, the front wings get the air disrupted over. So at the very last minute, you push harder, there's nothing there. But obviously, clearly misjudged it.
Derek Taylor.
Here with Keith Wiggins, team owner for the Herdez team. Keith, your man Ryan Hunter-Reay in the wars. 2 nose cones already, but now you have one of your pit stops out of the way. Can you turn this in any way into an advantage for you?
Well, it's close with the stops. We were hoping the first one we might be able to pull something back. We were close to the window the first time. Because there's only 2 stops, it's a bit tougher, but we're obviously going to do our best. It depends if there's any yellows. And
was Ryan on the radio? Any idea how the incident happened down there?
His comment that the gentleman was going too slow, but you know, it's hard to assess. Obviously, he looked a lot quicker, and perhaps he was expecting the guy to be at the same speed as him. So it's difficult to judge to apportion blame at the moment. Obviously, he was pushing hard. He just passed Allmendinger, and the other guy looked slow, but you know, you have to avoid the guys. So
we've got another incident with A.J. Allmendinger, fellas.
A.J. Allmendinger is in the tires, and we see the steering wheel lit on the car. Here's Allmendinger at the end of the backstretch, still working on Gonzalez. Boy, the car breaks loose on him under braking time.
But that's not where the accident happened. The accident happens where I was talking earlier about turn 8. Getting the car stopped here, it's so bumpy. just catches the tires.
Offline, when you're up in the marbles there and the tires get dirty, it's pretty hard to stay straight anyway.
Yeah, A.J. Allmendinger is getting a taste of what happens in a Champ Car at Toronto after that window, after lap 20. Last night, Bruno says it starts to get a little slick, but the times don't fall off a lot between laps 20 and 25. He said between 25 and 30, it's like you lose a second, and that's where I talked about the patience, where you just got to accept that the car is going to slow down, which is unusual for the Champ Cars because usually they're very consistent over a fuel stint.
32 laps on the board. Bourdais continues to lead. You got a glimpse there of the side pods of Allmendinger's car as they drag the Rousport, the number 10, off the racetrack. Looks as though his day may be over. They've been searching for backing, and Carl, the team principals there have been saying, Carl Russo has been saying that they were waiting for the right partner to come along. Well, this weekend, Western Union appears on the side of the car. Could be the start of some great things for Allmendinger and that Rousport car. Watching Oriol Servia, this is Alex Tagliani in 5th position. And one car offline yet again. Tagliani working on Patrick Carpentier. Was that Carpentier who got off lane going down into 3?
I think Carpentier almost came back right in front of Vasser.
Jimmy Vasser moves up a spot into 5th with that mistake apparently by Carpentier at the end of the backstretch. Riding with Tagliani. Your Ford telemetry, top of the screen.
And I can't tell you, you really get a good idea how hard it is for these guys to drive when the edge goes off the tires. You saw Vasser close up on Tagliani in turn 8, but it's really like all of a sudden someone flips a switch and it's like someone spraying little bits of grease on your tires because nothing works like it did at the start of the race.
Alex Tagliani, a great story for a variety of reasons. We want to send out a special hello to Eric Husinger, who normally mans the fuel hoses for Tag. He broke his neck in a fall recently. He's doing well. He's recuperating at home in Albuquerque, New Mexico. All of the Rocket Sports team misses Eric, and we certainly do as well. There's a Get Well Eric decal both on the 8 car and the 17 car. Alex Tagliani trying to work his way into a good finish here today. At the top of the broadcast, we documented the war of words that's gone on between he and Paul Tracy this week after Cleveland. And Tagliani says, hey, I'm here to race and race hard. 4th right now, not a bad day.
No, very good day. He was saying at the top of the show he was hoping for a top 5.
Bourdais continues to lead. Tracy 2nd, Wilson 3rd. Tagliani is now 4th. Some of the front-running cars have made their stops already, Justin Wilson and Paul Tracy, but Calvin Fish, the race leader, able to stretch the fuel a little farther.
He is, and that's going to be key for the rest of the race because it stretches the next one as well. Now, this is sticker tires going on. He should have a distinct advantage over Tracy and everyone else. So the leaders who have pitted here with sticker tires, they should give him great performance. Spoke to Greg Hansen, no changes for Bourdais. 11.8 seconds. Let's go down to Servia's start.
Great start for the YokeTV.com. Dale Coyne entry came in 4th place. Exits on scrubbed Bridgestones. He is running well.
As we see Alex Tagliani heading back to the racetrack as well. The Rocket Sports team doing their job very quickly. Tagliani came in 5th spot. Tracy right in front of him now. Our pictures coming to you from Global TV here in Canada. We thank the host broadcaster for today's Champ Car Grand Prix of Toronto. 37 laps complete. Tom, the leaders have had their first opportunity to come to pit road. Bourdais comes off smelling like a rose with that extra lap.
Well, and who else is smelling like a rose is Justin Wilson. Even though he stopped before Paul Tracy, he must have had a really good run on his sticker tires because he was able to get them up to temp before Paul Tracy got out. And you see Vasser taking a look down the inside of Tagliani. Tagliani saw him, left him room. Both of those guys just out of the pits.
Jimmy Vasser taking advantage of the situation. I don't believe Vasser stopped yet.
No, they both came out of the pits all at the same time.
That was the 12 car that we saw there. Okay. So Vasser now taking advantage. Tagliani is in front of Servia. We're looking off the rear wing of the Rocket Sports Lola, the car of Johnson Controls with Johnson Controls backing. Oriol Servia has put together a couple of good weeks here. And a week ago in Cleveland, we had the opportunity to spend some time with Oriol Servia and his race engineer, starting to get some good results.
Quite a lot of big changes I'd like to do, and it's going to be between mechanical grip and how the car is moving front to rear.
Turn 1 still fine. If I try to brake late, it's where the bumps are. It's front or rear. So I'm just around. No, it's just the road. It's really bumpy. A lot of people struggle there. Yeah.
This is a
corner you enter with a lot of speed. I feel very good to the important part, you know, the quick right-hander there. The rear feels, I mean, you can always lose it, but it feels solid, you know. There's always a huge bump right at the apex here. Boom. It goes up and then it goes down on exit, and then you just lose the front. The front goes up in the air and it doesn't turn. On the transition, it's a little lazy, you know. You're to the right and then to the left.
Yeah, I got that question.
And I have to really make it turn, but it's fast. I'm very happy with the car there.
Serbia with a 59.8-second lap last time by, so he's doing a very nice job. Time this season, Oriol Servia has led any laps in the Champ Car World Series. Serbia, how about that for Dale Coyne's team, a 4th spot?
Oh, and that's like a win for those guys, and that's exactly what they needed. They've been quick, really great run for that group.
So a great weekend for Oriol Servia and his team. Meantime, Mimo Gidley's afternoon has come to an early end. He's gone into the concrete in the Lease Plan 17 out of the Rocket Sports Stables. The Champ Car Safety Team 3 is there. Dr. Chris Pendersky is the medical director for Champ Car, along with crew chief Mike Carey and the rest of the boys there to take care of Mimo and the race car. 3rd full course caution of the afternoon. We had the first one right off the drop of the green in turn 1 and 2, and it involved the series point leader Bruno Junqueira and Mario Dominguez, who qualified 4th. Meantime, this is Gidley's 2nd incident of the day, Tom.
And that's in turn 6. Lost the back end and then overcorrected, snapped back the other way, locked the brakes up and nosed into the wall.
So Mimo Gidley's first drive for Rocket Sports and Champ Car done early here this afternoon in Toronto. Let's get it downstairs to Derek Daly.
Gives us a chance to talk to Dale Coyne himself. Dale, I know you just watched our piece that we did in Cleveland. It's got to make you feel good to see the YokeTV.com car, Servia, run at the front, 4th place, 3rd fastest lap in Cleveland. I mean, it's got to put a smile on your face.
Cleveland was really good. You know, it was a solid 4th. It had potential to be a 3rd or a 2nd. You know, we couldn't have caught the leader, but there was some potential there. So we were very happy with that. He's doing a good job here. You know, we qualified 10th. He's up to 6th right now after the first round of stops. So we're pleased with the way today's going.
Let me see your right hand. Somebody said you tried to be a mechanic.
No, that's, you know, what can you say?
Broke his right hand in Cleveland. Now, I shouldn't let this out, boys, but there is a surprise birthday party tonight in downtown Toronto put on by the Molson Indie Girls for Servia, who is 30 years old next Tuesday. Calvin?
Down here with Neil Mickelwright, Director of Operations for Forsyth Racing. Neil, PT got out-jumped there on the pit stop. You surprised that Wilson, who came in early, was able to get around you on the pit stops?
Just a little bit. We're still reviewing right now just what went on, try and figure out whether they did a short fill or something like that. We think that they probably did. Right now we're on the same strategy as Bourdais, in as much as we filled up, and then we'll see how the race plays out.
After the disaster in Cleveland, you find yourself 47 points behind in the championship chase. Do you change anything? Do you try and calm Paul down, or you just take it one race at a time?
Absolutely take it one race at a time. There's still a very long way to go, and Paul doesn't need calming down.
Degree of sarcasm there in his voice, I think.
Little subtle humor, to say the least. Riding with Tracy under caution for the 3rd time today. Most of the leaders have made their first stops, and we take a look at Sebastian Bourdais. Didn't give up the lead on pit road. Tagliani lost 3 spots. Tracy stayed in 3rd. Servia lost 2. Levine lost 2 down to 7th. Justin Wilson, though, has jumped to 2nd. Jimmy Vasser has jumped to 4th after his stop. On the backstretch at Toronto, the green has just reappeared. Here's Paul Tracy making a move around Justin Wilson. He wants to get 2nd spot back. Tracy on the outside. Wilson outbreaks him. Wilson says, no, you don't. Tracy goes to the inside. They touch. Tagliani gets involved. He gets through it somehow. Wilson goes around. Servia into the tires. Wilson able to drive away. They're going to have to come get Servia's car. Tough break for the YokeTV.com team. Here's the MyJack car turning around. Calvin Fish.
Eric, very frustrating indeed. Justin was having such a great race once again. What did you see on the monitor there?
Well, I think that Tracy is Paul Tracy as usual. You know, I mean, you know, this is not auto scooter. You know, I mean, I think something is to be done because, I mean, we have a very good race. We're running P2. I mean, Justin is the quickest lap in the race, and it's not acceptable that Tracy is ruining the race like this. You know, so I mean, guys to behave a little bit better because it's always the same people that they are causing troubles. You know.
Very frustrating indeed. I mean, these guys, the effort that goes in behind the scenes to get to the front of the pack for guys like Conquest Racing, who don't have the budget of some of the bigger teams, and to see their results thwarted like this is very, very frustrating indeed.
Full course caution for the 4th time today. This is right off the restart. Justin Wilson restarted second. Tracy jumped outside on the backstretch to try to get the spot away. Wilson went deeper.
Wilson went deeper, then he couldn't make the turn. He pushed wide here, so Tracy's trying to cross back underneath. Justin closed the door.
I think you lay the blame on that for Wilson.
Well, Wilson probably thought he recovered quick enough, and if he could get the door closed, it would be like it was never open. But if it's open for a second, you know that Tracy's going to try it. So
just one of those racing things.
Well, it kind of is. I mean, Wilson definitely slid wide, didn't get the car turned.
On board with Tracy. Here he is on the backstretch, pulling out of the draft.
Wilson really drives it in deep. Wow, watch this.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye as he went down the inside. So
doesn't get a turn.
And Paul made contact with the right rear corner of the 34.
You got to say that. You got to kind of get alongside a guy. And now, granted, Wilson opened the door, and so he says, Tracy says, "Door's open, I'm coming." But you know that door's closing by the same token.
It is so difficult to pass on these street courses. I would think that running through Paul's mind is, I better get him now right off this restart.
Yeah, I mean, that's always Paul. Get him now. You never know later. He thinks one corner at a time.
Yeah.
And he's also in the mindset where he feels like the championship's gotten away from him and he needs to win. He's frustrated that somehow he got around him on the pit stop.
As we watch, riding with Tracy, getting ready for the restart. Bourdais continues to lead. Vassar, Tagliani, Gaston Mazzacani now has cycled to the front of the pack in Toronto. Getting ready for the restart. Here's Bourdais taking him slowly now behind the safety car. Jimmy Vassar in second spot. Vassar has driven a very, very patient race so far. Quickly, Calvin Fish.
Try and get a quick word here with Neil Mickelwright. Actually, they're on the radio, I believe. They're on the radio. They're getting ready for green, guys. Let's go back to it.
Justin Wilson, having cut that tire in that incident with Tracy on the previous restart at the end of the backstretch. Wilson will restart in 15th, and he is 2 laps down along with A.J. Allmendinger, who is still in the race. Even though they dragged Allmendinger's car behind a barrier earlier, he's had his share of difficulties this weekend as well. But Bourdais has had everything go his way from the drop of the green. 2 victories in a row in the Champ Car World Series, going for 3, and we're back underway in Toronto. And a move for second spot, Tagliani and Vassar holds the position. Tagliani had gotten by at the start-finish stripe. Vassar gets back in front. Mazzacani hangs on, and with Tracy now.
And Calvin asked Neil Mickelwright about, do you need to calm Paul down? In all seriousness, Paul needs to keep the big picture in mind here because Bruno is out of the race. Now, Sebastian's leading, but Paul needs to get what this race will give him. And, he needs to push. He needs to try to make up some positions, but the wheels can come off in a hurry. In spite of what's just happened, he looks to be in still in pretty good shape. Now he's right behind the guy he's been jawing with all week long, and Alex Tagliani.
This Tagliani in the all-blue Johnson Controls 8 car. The two-tone blue and white, number 1 of defending series champion Tracy. The Forsyth Index car right behind him. They're nose to tail here. Heading through the final couple of turns back to the front straightaway. Ryan Hunter-Reay is behind Tracy. Mazzacani's gone offline. And what's this? Is Tracy headed down pit road? Looks as though he is.
Penalties.
Aha. And Tagliani will get one as well.
This is for avoidable contact, we understand, Rick, for both the 8 machine of Tagliani and Tracy, so they should both get drive-throughs here. Now he's really got to be patient. It's going to take Neil Mickelwright to calm the boy down.
But he lights the tires up coming off pit road. And full force caution.
This really helps them out a bunch and will not help Tagliani,
who didn't make his penalty stop yet. Debris on the racetrack. And this one would think might be for the either the tire that shredded on the 34 or that avoidable contact that we did not yet see between the 1 and the 8. And they're changing nose pieces as well for Justin Wilson. So Wilson's day that had so much promise in the first 30 laps, he was up to second spot, had gotten by Paul Tracy. Tracy and Wilson made contact off a restart earlier. Our 5th full course caution. Well, the newest driver in the Champ Car World Series out of it early today. He's with Derek Daly.
Indeed, Memo Gidley's made his way back. I know there's disappointment. You went from 20th and last up to 12th. What eventually took you out?
Well, you know, I got spun around by Allmendinger in the beginning, and unfortunate for that, that put us a lap down. And I'll tell you, the lease plan, Gentilizzi Rocket Sports car was working awesome, and I was just driving it. All I could do is come out this weekend and race as hard as I can, and that's what I did. I made a little mistake, got a little sideways, and just couldn't quite save it, but I'm having a great time, and I'm out here to drive hard. That's what I did.
Do you know, Memo, will you drive this car again? Has that been discussed with anybody?
Yeah, but next time I think I show up on Sunday and just hop in for the race. No, I don't. I don't really know what's going on right now. I'm just, you know, going day by day, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Thanks, Memo. It was good to see you here.
Paul Tracy back to pit road. They're going to fuel the car, put tires on it as well, under caution on lap 47. Tracy with that drive-through penalty served just before the caution came out, so he didn't lose time because of that. Tagliani, we assume, headed down pit road now for the full course, during the full course caution for his penalty. And it's looking very much as though the time clock will come into effect here today. 47 laps of 95, 1 lap short of halfway here. Tracy back on the button as we prepare for a restart next time around. Now let's set the restart order again. Sebastian Bourdais able to stay out in front no matter what happens on the racetrack. He'll be the restart pole sitter. Here's Tracy. Jimmy Vasser will restart second. Tagliani will go third. Then Ryan Hunter-Reay and Michel Jourdain, who has quietly worked his way toward the front.
And the two guys that look to have the pace to maybe challenge Bourdais, Wilson and Tracy, are now at least further back. Wilson is out of the picture as far as challenging Bourdais for the win.
And Mario Haberfeld in the Reynard that Derek Walker fields, the Cummins 5 car. Derek admitted to us a week or two ago that the car, because of the rules freeze, the aerodynamic freeze, the car just isn't up to pace with the rest of the field, the Lolas. But Haberfeld giving it a good run here today. Coming to halfway, looking for a restart at Toronto. And here comes Bourdais to put the field back in motion one more time. Plenty of action deeper in the pack. There's Tagliani and Ryan Hunter-Reay battling for third spot. Looking off the back wing of Tagliani's 8 car. Hunter-Reay in the Urdez number 4. That's the green car with the white nose piece. He's had 2 broken front wings today. And here he is up in the top 5. There's Bourdais in the McDonald's 2 out in front. Vasser in that Gulfstream Lola in second spot. Tagliani offline. Gonzalez offline. Heavy traffic back there off the restart. Ryan Hunter-Reay and Jourdain. Tracy trying to work his way back up through the ranks. 11th on the restart. Serbia sideways.
This is where it gets risky.
Everybody senses the opportunity here.
Yep.
There's Levine. Rodolfo Levine running in 12th. Tracy swings inside Levine. Gets by him.
Here's an example. The other side of that sword. Paul Tracy's greatest strength is his aggression and that rage that fuels him. It's also his biggest weakness.
Alex Tagliani coming down pit road for his drive-through penalty under green. Tracy swings inside another car. Moves inside Roberto Gonzalez for 8th spot. Puts him away, no problem at all. Roberto Gonzalez, an interesting story as we ride with both Tagliani and Tracy, the protagonists in the War of Words after Cleveland. Gonzalez, a former downhill ski champion in Mexico. In fact, he was on pace to become a Winter Olympics competitor. As Mazzacani locks up the brakes and goes offline at the end of the backstretch. And Allmendinger goes by, as does Tracy. So Mazzacani gives up a couple of more spots.
Look at Tracy go.
Wow. Coming up on Carpentier, who was 7th last time around. Well, you've said it, Tommy Kendall, several times this season. Adversity stokes the fire for Paul Tracy.
It really does. It lights the fire. And last year he did a phenomenal job of keeping it from boiling.
Behind his teammate Carpentier here.
And Haberfeld creating a little bit of a pick.
Haberfeld 5th. Carpentier 6th. Tracy 7th. Rule 1, of course, don't take your teammate out. Here comes Tracy. Oh, is there enough room? Whoa, up over the berm to get to the inside.
For the push to pass here.
Paul Tracy on the hammer at Toronto.
Absolutely wild.
Inside Carpentier. Now remember, the last time they were side by side at Milwaukee, Tracy got into the wall. Gets through this time. Mazzacani, Serbia offline. Gabriel Servia with nowhere to go heads to the runoff area. Past halfway, Calvin Fish.
Well, we're going to try and catch up here with Neil Mickelwright. Neil, a lot has happened here in the last 10 laps. First of all, the incident with Wilson. What did PT say on the radio to you?
Basically, you know, we'd gotten past Wilson going down the straight. Then he got underneath us under braking, got a little sideways, and we hit him. Legitimately, I think a racing type incident. Obviously, we've been penalised for that with a drive-through penalty. We came in at the end of the last yellow there to try and minimise the impact of that penalty. So now we've got PT out there on a mission.
Right, he's on a mission. He is flying. Neil just told me it's all part of our evil plan.
Now we shall see if Tracy's plan comes to fruition. Bourdais' plan very much coming to fruition. Jimmy Vasser hanging on to second spot. A great run for the 96 Series champion. His best ever finish here, a third in 1998. So Jimmy Vasser on pace to collect his first podium of the year, perhaps. A little further back, here's Haberfeld in the 5. Shuffled back to 7th spot. There's Mazzacani. Tracy leading Carpentier. Allmendinger still back in 14th, 2 laps down. So not running on the lead lap. Not a factor here this afternoon on lap 52. Vasser leading Ryan Hunter-Reay by 6 and almost 7/10 last time by. Jimmy Vasser very patiently, Derek Daly, has worked his way toward the front of the pack here.
Vasser in the Gulfstream car is second. When you see Tracy on an eyes out on stalks mission like he is now, do you tell Jimmy to be careful if Tracy comes up behind him?
I think Jimmy's actually pretty comfortable right now, and it'll take a while for Tracy to get there, but he's driving as fast as he can, really.
Jimmy looks consistent out there. What's he saying?
Again?
What's he saying?
He's saying the tire pressures get better and better, and the car gets better and better. We're starting on some low pressures, trying to make sure he's got some really good traction later in the run. So his restarts are kind of suffering.
So Vasser in the Gulfstream car having by far his best day of the season so far.
Excellent run for Jimmy Vasser and the PKV team. And Roberto Gonzalez in the top 10 as well. The team car, the Nextel machine, he's up in 9th.
It's funny, I spent an hour with Jimmy, and he was just kind of venting to me on Thursday about a number of things. But one of the things, he's 40 years old, but, even Derek's comments or the comments you always hear about Derek, he looks consistent. He's patiently working his way. I didn't see that. I saw a guy who made 2 moves on his outlap on cold tires, a guy who wants to show that when he has a car underneath him that he can get the job done. And he says, I think about it. I say, can I still race with these young guys? He says, but the answer I keep coming up with is yes. And so he's been happy with the progress of the PKV team, starting to inch their way forward, and they need a good run to really boost them.
Basically, a startup operation, or a restart-up operation, if you will, this year, adding Gonzalez and getting the new sponsorship on board. 53 laps are complete here in Toronto, looking perhaps as though this one will be settled by the time clock. Paul Tracy up to 5th after a drive-through penalty. Come back to Toronto, watching Sebastian Bourdais. With Tommy Kendall, Imric Benjamin, Bourdais all alone out in front. And the Newman Haas team, I'm sure, going through all their calculations now, trying to decide whether they will be the first team to stop here with a timed race in the offing.
You wouldn't want to be the first one to stop, because if somebody else stops, they're at an advantage, but before anyone stops, everyone's in the same boat. If a yellow came out now, everybody has one more green flag stop to make. So the minute someone in the top 5, like if Tracy wanted to gamble and say, you know what, I'm going to come in, the minute someone else gambles, then that's when those guys have to start weighing things about when they should come in or not.
Bourdais just knocking off his quickest lap of the day, a 1:513 second trip around this 1 3/4 mile race course. On lap 57, Vasser in second spot, 6.7 seconds back. And Ryan Hunter-Reay settling down nicely in 3rd. If you're just joining us, Ryan Hunter-Reay has made 2 trips to pit road for new nose cones. He's been involved in contact a couple of times here today. And if they can hang on for a top 5, that's a terrific run.
No question about it. Now, Hunter-Reay, we talked to Keith Wiggins earlier, and he said we're close, depending on the yellows, on whether we can get there with one more stop. Now I think they'll definitely get there with one more stop, but as it is, he's going to have to stop before these other guys because his last stop was 10 laps earlier.
Watching the car, Michel Jourdain, the Gigante number 9. He is in 4th spot. Oh, trouble. Looks like one of the MyJack cars has gotten crossed up.
Wilson.
Justin Wilson once again. Stopped on the racetrack, yeah. No caution full courses yet. I'm sure a local yellow. He's got it running. And burns it out. Here's a look at what happened to Wilson behind Mazzacani. Full spin, or a half spin anyway. It was a 180. and go bump it around and get pointed in the right direction.
One key about Ryan Hunter-Reay, he's made 2 starts, but most importantly, they've both been under green. So if we were to get a caution, he could actually come in, get topped up, be able to go to the checkered flag, and then he's gone through the regulation that he has to do 2 green flag starts. Most of the other guys need to do 1 more under green. So Ryan Hunter-Reay, certainly he's battled back and changed those noses, Rick, but he's also in pretty good shape in terms of strategy as well.
Certainly something to watch. Calvin Fish, as Ryan Hunter-Reay circulates in 3rd spot. His teammate from 1 year ago, Jimmy Vasser, is in 2nd. The McDonald's 2 car, Sebastian Bourdais, 3 wins on the season. All alone out in front. Here's Hunter-Reay on pit road, putting new tires on, so they go for another green flag stop.
Well, they're not doing that because of strategy. They're obviously doing that because they need the fuel. But now, if there's a caution at any point forward from here, he's in pretty good shape.
So Ryan Hunter-Reay gives up 3rd on the racetrack to come to pit road on lap 59. 95 laps the scheduled distance. It is all but a sure thing that we will end up having a timed event today. Vasser continues to run in 2nd spot. Very good run for Jimmy, 7.6 seconds behind Sebastian Bourdais. We've got something new we want to share with you this week. We call them Fast Facts. We talked to Jimmy Vasser earlier, asked him to explain drafting.
Drafting is a term that's related to aerodynamics. So when you get real close to another car, you get in the slipstream, meaning they're pushing the wind for you, and you're like in a pocket of less air, and you pick up the draft. So you essentially pick up some speed, and you're able to draft by or slingshot by.
And that will come into play here on the backstretch, primarily the long run down Lakeshore, as we watch Michel Jourdain. Here comes Paul Tracy right up behind him. This is for 3rd spot. These cars on the lead lap. Patrick Carpentier in 5th position. So good battling on the back straightaway. Last car in line, A.J. Allmendinger, who's been off a couple of times today. Let's get it downstairs and find out more about Bridgestone tires, used, of course, solely throughout the Champ Car World Series. Here's Derek Daly.
Before the race started, many drivers had discussed the possibility of, at the end of stints, that the tires may drop off on performance and drop off on lap time. Joe Barbieri, who heads up special projects at Bridgestone. Joe, I know they discussed that with you. You watched it every lap here. Has that been the case?
Yeah, well, our engineers have been following that pretty closely, and we find out that they are dropping off a tad, but not as much as they expected. So they're putting off some of their quicker laps towards the end as well. I know they just said Sebastian turned one of his quickest laps of the race so far.
How many sets of tires do you give each team on a race weekend like this?
It starts off with 8 sets for each car. They do return 1 on Friday, and then they have 7 left for practice qualifying in the race.
How much would it cost somebody to buy a set of these Bridgestones?
We don't really sell them. We lease them to the teams, and we give them a very reduced price on that because of the exposure we're gaining from this experience. So it comes out to about $500 a tire.
Lastly, Joe, in each pit, how many sets of tires might a team have at the start of an event like this?
They'll probably start with 5 sets because they figure 3 stops and they have some extras and all. So about 5 sets.
And if something goes wrong, they come and annoy you?
Well, not me, the engineers.
Thank you, Joe.
Our Bridgestone passion for excellence here today at Toronto. Watching the battle between Jourdain and the 9, running in 3rd spot. Tracy is 4th. Tracy started on the front row alongside Sebastian Bourdais. Hasn't had a sniff of the lead all day, Tom, and you have to think with 32 to go, he's getting a little bit frustrated back there as we watch the leader continue to put down quick laps. Let's get an update on Bourdais before we talk a little bit about Paul Tracy. Calvin Fish.
Just checked in with Craig Hampson, Bourdais' engineer, and he said, we're nervous. We're inside the window now. We expect this to be a timed race here this afternoon with the yellows we've seen. And they're in their window, have been able to get to the finish with 1 more tank of fuel. But they said the man we're concerned about is Tracy. Remember, he pitted a lot later. His stop will be shorter. They are concerned about PT. So even though he's had to come from behind here, they still think he's going to be the man they have to beat this afternoon.
Justin Wilson on the racetrack. He's had a problem-filled day, 3 laps down, but interesting, I think, that they're watching for Paul Tracy, even though he rides 4th right now.
Well, I think the concern's a little overblown. If Paul's going to run longer, he's going to have a shorter stop. But again, I think the gamble move, if he can't get by Jourdain and he ends up getting held up, if he were to stop now, he'd get new tires. The edge is gone from his tires. He's not able to make the forward advance like he was. His times are over a second slower than Tracy. And so if he can get in and Bourdais stays out, then you get a yellow in there, and that would really make the Newman Haas guys nervous. So nervous, I hear that they got their stuff set out in pit lane. They're going to bring him in.
So Bourdais working on lap number 64. Patrick Carpentier, who is running 6th, comes in for his final stop of the afternoon. Most definitely, this will become a timed race. There's about 26 minutes of racing left here. 31 laps the scheduled distance remaining. And, of course, the lap times are about 1:02 under green. As we watch Alex Tagliani on pit road as well. Tires and fuel for the number 8 machine. And he runs in 9th position right now. Here comes Bourdais. Race leader, he's led all the way, has not given up the lead. This may give Jimmy Vasser, though, the opportunity to lead a lap or two. Calvin Fish.
Bourdais brings the car in significantly. We talk about tyre management over the course of the weekend. Joe Barbieri said they had 7 sets. Well, Sebastian has a brand new set of Bridgestone tyres going on. Should have great performance here. Full of Gill, he's underway. Good stop by the McDonald's crew.
They don't miss on pit road, do they?
Very rarely.
Watching Bourdais get it back up to speed. You have to stay within that blend line, at least 2 wheels, until you get down into turn 1. The McDonald's bunch with 2 wins in a row, going for 3 here today at the Champ Car Grand Prix of Toronto. So Vasser takes the lead for the first time today with Jourdain and Tracy, the top 3. Paul Tracy trying to swing around Michel Jourdain as the laps wind down here today. 21 minutes of racing to go, so if we have no more full course yellows, you'd think about 20 laps are left at this point. At the end of the backstretch, A.J. Allmendinger able to run with the 2nd and 3rd place cars, but he's 14th, 2 laps down. He's been off a couple of times here today. 16 of 18 cars continuing in competition, make it 15 of 18 because Mimo Gidley whacked the wall and dropped out several laps ago. Mario Dominguez, Bruno Junqueira didn't make it to turn 2 here today.
Something that Tracy and these guys need to consider, the conventional wisdom of staying out longer might be more than offset by how much the tires fall off. And there goes Jourdain to the pit. So Tracy's going to try to run some demon laps here, but you saw him sliding coming out of turn 5. Really, the car's not really under right now. It's questionable whether that's going to be as big an advantage as usual.
So Jourdain comes to a stop on pit road. The Rousport bunch raises the car. Jimmy Vasser's going to stop as well. Derek Daly.
Jimmy Vasser has a problem with the right rear tire. He has a puncture in the right rear tire, so there is no gamble about to be unfolded here in the next 2 or 3 or 4 laps because he's forced to come in, which is probably a good thing at this stage. They have brand new sticker Bridgestones about to go on, so hopefully Vasser does not lose too much time. We're watching. I'm in his pit lane here watching. There he is, Jimmy, making his way around. He's on his way into pit lane here. He knows there's a problem. He had a 10-second lead over 2nd place. Everybody except Ryan Hunter-Reay and Tracy have to make this last stop. This will be timed. It will be a timed stop. Champ Car have officially notified everybody it is an official timed race. 10.7 seconds for Vasser in the Gulfstream car, and Kevin Kalkoven is giving high fives to everybody here.
They knock off a good stop. Vasser peels the tear off the front of the helmet and heads back to the racetrack. Up in the top left of your screen, you see the time remaining. 19.5 minutes of racing left today here in the streets of Toronto. Paul Tracy on the button now, back in the lead. 1.9 seconds to the good over Bourdais. So has this cycled through to Paul's advantage now?
Not to his advantage. He needs to get in before Jourdain's backing up, turning some quick laps.
Take you back and show you what's happened. This is the big incident right off the start. Junqueira, the points leader in the Pacific Air car, moved up, clipped Dominguez. They went into the wall. Contact here, Ryan Hunter-Reay will knock into the back end of Alex Tagliani's machine. And a little later on, Ryan Hunter-Reay and A.J. Allmendinger. This is at the end of the backstretch under caution. They tangle. Allmendinger goes around. Ryan Hunter-Reay was penalized, had the nose wing broken for the first time. Lap 25, Ryan Hunter-Reay got into the back end of Roberto Gonzalez, knocked the wing off a second time of the Urdez machine. And on lap 42, this is right off the restart. Justin Wilson and Paul Tracy at the end of the backstretch. Wilson goes too deep, opens the door. Tracy goes inside. They make contact. Wilson spins. Tracy continues, but he was penalized. Oil Serbia into the tires as well. So that's just some of the action we've seen. It's been an action-filled afternoon here in the streets of Toronto. While we ride with Tracy, 1.5 seconds to the good for the moment over Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais has made his stop. Ryan Hunter-Reay sits fourth behind Jimmy Vasser. 15.6 seconds the gap. There you see how the top four stack up with 25 laps to go by distance. Paul Tracy has just made his final stop of the day under green, but off pit road, he clipped the 9 car of Michel Jourdain. And Jourdain had nowhere to go, right into the concrete. His day is done. Second week in a row that Jourdain's gotten into the wall. Here is Tracy into the corner. There's Jourdain, and they make contact. Now again, Tommy, as you pointed out, no spotters. Did Paul even know he was there?
Yes.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
So Michel Jourdain very frustrated. Our fourth lead change of the day as Sebastian Bourdais takes over, and it is our 6th full course caution with 14 minutes, 10 seconds of racing to go under caution. Calvin Fish.
Jeremy Dale with Roos Sport. Jeremy, PT certainly not making any friends today. What did you see?
No, you know, and Calvin, Michel fought all day. He really did. I mean, he got involved early on, and he fought his way back up, and he really earned that position. And Paul just came out of the pit lane and understeered right up into him. And, you know, Michel didn't pinch him down. Michel left him all sorts of room, and it's just, you know, it's not really fair. And I understand that Michel is very, very, very disappointed, and he should be.
Michel, good friend of Paul's, but when you get out there and you're racing hard like this, I mean, Paul was on a mission trying to get it back to the front, but sometimes you got to give it up a little bit.
You can see Carl Russo, the team owner, standing up on the pit box as Jeremy Dale gives more information. Watch Michel Jourdain here. He's up in the seat of the car, up in the pods of the car, waving at Tracy. And that's some genuine emotion from Michel Jourdain.
Well, and rightfully so. I mean, Paul just can't accept that things aren't going his way. He got screwed by his team there. Them not staying on top of that strategy, that never should have happened. He should have been 3 or 4 seconds up the road. Now, that being said, he's the one that did that to Jourdain. He just, when things start slipping away from his expectation, he just can't handle it. And he wanted the car to stick. The car won't stick, and he wouldn't accept that. Drove right into Jourdain, ended a great run.
And Michel Jourdain had a top 5 run going today, but his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay's got a good day going, Derek Daly.
Well, this yellow really helps Ryan Hunter-Reay. He stopped 2 laps earlier than they wanted him to at the last pit stop because he has a fuel pickup problem. They filled the tank, but they know before this yellow that he could not run hard for the rest of the race. In fact, they were doubtful that he could even finish with the fuel pickup problem that he had. They were hoping for a yellow, and Paul Tracy obliged.
So Ryan Hunter-Reay picks up a break. Tracy's still on the racetrack. One more look at the incident moments ago. This is from Tracy's visor cam. And here it is as Paul comes up onto the racetrack. Into turn 1 off pit road. And there's the 9 car. Contact. Tracy able to continue, but not enough room for Jourdain to get through.
I guess it's possible that Paul didn't see him. I find that hard to believe that his crew wasn't telling him, here comes Jourdain, here comes Jourdain. Again, as I said at the start with Junqueira, it's possible that, you know, the vision out of the side of these cars that he didn't see Jourdain, but I'm guessing he probably did.
Ryan Hunter-Reay has fought back from a couple of situations where he's knocked the nose wing off the car. He's had a drive-through penalty. There's his teammate's car going out on the hook. Ryan Hunter-Reay getting to pit road under caution with 11.5 minutes of racing to go here in Toronto. Tracy circulating as we ride with him. He's being shown in 5th spot. So let's reset where we are. Here's Bourdais. He'll be the restart pole sitter. Jimmy Vasser, who stopped a while back for his final stop, he'll line up in 2nd spot with Hunter-Reay getting shuffled back now, having gone to pit road. Carpentier will move back up to 3rd, and Tracy to 4th spot. They're showing Hunter-Reay 3rd at the moment, but he was headed to pit road just a moment ago. Haberfeld and Gonzalez, Tagliani and Mazzacani in the top 10. Preparing for a restart with 7 minutes, 45 seconds of racing left. The Champ Car World Series in Toronto. Paul Tracy getting up on the gas. A couple of cars diving down pit road to allow the lead lap cars to line up in the correct order. Let's take a look back at what happened a moment ago. Tracy with contact with Michel Jourdain as he came off pit road. His final stop. This is Tracy re-entering the racetrack. This is the 2nd time Tracy went by. Look at Jourdain waving at him there. Not a laughing matter for the Rousport team, I know, but certainly a little bit of comic relief, perhaps, as we watch that bit of drama. Calvin Fish on pit road.
Well, we're down here with the Rocket Sports spare car. They've been kind enough to loan it to us and show you some of the mechanical parts of the car. Paul Tracy, when he hit Jourdain, certainly took a whack into the wheel, but most importantly, what it's done is bent this tie rod here. Okay, this tie rod length actually changes the toe in and toe out of the tires, but over a short stint like we have left, it shouldn't be too much of a concern, providing it doesn't break. Certainly we've seen some breakages at Cleveland last week, but hopefully this is not too bad. It shouldn't affect the performance too much, but he certainly does not have a perfect race car right now. Let's go down to Derek Daly.
Here with Derek Walker, the Cummins Reynard having a good run. Derek, you might not have the outright speed of the Lolas, but you have a driver who's staying out of trouble out there. That's good.
Yeah, he's dodging the bullets today. We've had some great pit work, so we're happy. Hopefully we can finish this thing on a high. It'll be a high for the season. It'll be great.
Derek, your team historically has had great pit work. If you're a bit off on the racetrack and speed, do you make sure the pit work is exceptional?
Well, we always focus on the things we can influence, and pit stops can certainly do that.
Thank you, Derek.
Derek Walker fielding the 5 car for Mario Haberfeld. His best finish, he's had 9ths a couple of times this year in the season opener at Long Beach, and then at Portland he was 14th a week ago at Cleveland, on track perhaps to bag a top 5 here today if things go his way. Inside 6 minutes of racing to go. Bourdais will lead him off the final corner in the new Manaz number 2. With McDonald's backing on the side pods. Green is in the air. We're back underway at Toronto. Vassar there in second. Hunter-Reay in third. Carpentier and Tracy 4th and 5th. Aberfeld is 6th. Gonzalez and Tagliani, a running order up top. Push to pass numbers. Gonzalez has burned up all of his, as has Allmendinger. Bourdais still has some time left. Jimmy Vassar now has used up all his push to pass time, Tom. And here he's getting a challenge for second spot.
Well, he finished the last of his. Hunter-Reay was on his, as was Carpentier.
We'll show you those push-to-pass numbers as your running order goes by, presented by Ford at the top of your screen. All contact, it looked like, back there. Everybody stays off the wall, at least. A couple of cars off the pace.
It's Tagliani and somebody else getting together there.
Should be 4 laps to go next time. Looks like Rodolfo Levine may be in trouble out on the racetrack.
I was waiting for this. Paul Tracy getting a stop and hold 5-second penalty for that contact with Michel Jourdain.
So Tracy's bid to finish in the top 5 here will apparently go right out the window. Mario Haberfeld cycles up into 5th spot with his penalty assessed to Tracy, the defending champion here. There's Haberfeld, and Levine stopping on the course, full course yellow for the 7th time here today in Toronto, and damage to Roberto Gonzalez's car. The Nextel machine, the 21, badly damaged on the right front corner. And you could see his frustration. The team patting him on the helmet saying, not your fault. You'd have to think that was contact with Levine. And they take the headrest off. They have said enough is enough for Roberto Gonzalez today. Let's take you back a moment and show you what happened to the 21 car. As they take the wheels off and Gonzalez unstraps. Here it is from Tagliani's view. Inside. Oh, it's Tagliani who got into him.
That was a mugging.
Gonzalez hammered the wall. Levine has stopped on the racetrack. Calvin Fish ready to talk to Michel Jourdain for us.
Well, they're smiling down here, but Michel, I know you're extremely frustrated. You had a great run going, and then PT on his way out of the pit lane looked like he just walked right up into you.
Yes, it's so frustrating, you know, because, I mean, he didn't have to do that, you know, but I guess it's just a regular Paul, you know. When he's not doing good, he just doesn't think. I mean, it's just been, since I can remember, Paul is just the same. He doesn't think, you know.
Very frustrating indeed, and obviously with the black flag and the stop and go or the drive-through penalty, the officials agree with everyone here that Paul probably should have given him some room.
Not much doubt about it from the view we had anyway. Alex Tagliani, after that contact with Roberto Gonzalez, the front wing is loose on the 8 car. So the Johnson Controls team with a problem. Rodolfo Levine's Forsyth Index machine stopped, and they have gotten him out of harm's way, it does appear. Looks like a green flag coming up next time by with 2.5 minutes of racing to go. Enough time maybe for 2 laps.
I'll tell you what, talking about the no if Paul Tracy is entitled to go to the tail end of the lead lap cars. They're not going to pull everyone through the pits, but if the Forsyth guys are on the ball, they'll tell him to pull him behind Tagliani. Theoretically, he could still have a top 5, as wacky as this race is turning out to be.
And wacky's a great way to describe what we've seen here, especially, well, all through the day, really. There have been very few moments where we settled in for some regular green flag racing. We've had a lot of incidents, 7 full course yellows. This will be a timed event. Bourdais has led much of the day. Jimmy Vasser will restart second. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Carpentier, and Haberfeld, your top
Tracy.
5.
He's trying to move up.
Tracy with the penalty, still on the lead lap. Safety cars in. Green flag will go in the air one more time here today at Toronto. Here's Bourdais.
Now Hunter-Reay, watch Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay has 11 seconds of push to pass. Vasser is out of his.
Heading toward turn 1, Vasser stays in second spot. Inside move on Haberfeld there by one of the MyJack cars. That is not for position. They'll see the white flag next time by. Hunter-Reay and Carpentier battling for third spot. Carpentier has just 3 seconds left on his push to pass. This is Tracy. Being shown 7th.
Lots of tire smoke up ahead. That must be Hunter-Reay.
Carpentier, I believe, got by him there
Hunter-Reay
on the backstretch. Oh, Ryan Hunter-Reay's day, which was not going well. He does. Right rear tire down on the 4 car. So Ryan Hunter-Reay, who had a podium going, something has happened to the tire. He's trying to wrestle that car home today, but it may not work. Here's Tagliani. We ride with the Rocket Sports number 8. Tagliani in 6th despite that contact. Bourdais, meantime, has kept his nose clean all day long.
He sure has. He was done a big favor when Wilson and Tracy started, basically took each other out of the running.
Last time around for the McDonald's 2 car, Vasser in 2nd comfortably. Carpentier, meantime, has moved up into 3rd.
Here's a wings issue. That's how the flat tire happened for Hunter-Reay.
Contact there at the end of the backstretch. Boy, it is big time. Can that nose cone stay intact here on the high-speed backstretch? Haberfeld trying to get close enough to make a move. Haberfeld could score a podium here. The MyJack car kind of taking up space at the moment.
Oh, man, Carpentier is struggling.
And Haberfeld can't get by the lap car. I believe that's Justin Wilson there, who was 13th in the running order, a couple of laps down.
And that's why they put the lap cars behind when you're past half distance or whatever it is. And
they just didn't get him back where he needed to be.
They wanted to get back to green is why they didn't do it. But
let's talk for a moment about Sebastian Bourdais, who I'm sure is going to assume the points lead. Final corner for Bourdais on his way to his 3rd consecutive victory. From Le Mans, France, Sebastian Bourdais wins his 4th race of 2004. The Newman Haas McDonald's team raising their arms in salute. On the pit wall, Bourdais dominates in the streets of Toronto. Jimmy Vasser is 2nd. Patrick Carpentier comes home 3rd. Mario Haberfeld with a great run for Derek Walker's team in 4th. Paul Tracy gets credit for 5th despite the black flag. Gaston Mazzacani, talk about a surprising result, 6th. Tagliani soldiers on to 7th. Hunter-Reay gets his car home in 8th. Oriol Servia 9th. And Alex Sperafico rounds out the top 10 today here in Toronto. A.J. Allmendinger fights on for 11th. Justin Wilson gets 12th ahead of Gonzalez, Levine, Jourdain, Hindley, Dominguez, and Junqueira. Victory celebration is underway here at Exhibition Place in Toronto. Calvin Fish in victory lane.
Well, he is the man of the moment. 4 wins out of the last 5 races, all on the road course and street course combination. Sebastian, the confidence is there. The team is clicking. Things are going your way. Great performance today.
Yeah, well, I think as I said yesterday, a lot of the job was done for the pole. I had a clean start. Paul was all over me, but I was inside, so I was going to keep it. And it's been a yellow, so it's just great. I'm very happy. I'm a bit disappointed for the Newman Haas team and Bruno, but it's very good for us.
With Bruno going out, it gives you the championship lead. Paul hit pretty much everyone out there today. Did he end up getting into you on that first lap at all?
Yeah, well, I was going to be slow at the inside at the apex, and for any reasons, he did not anticipate that, so he ran into me. But it was not a big hit, so it did not have an influence on our race.
Sebastian, congratulations. Superb performance. Let's go over to Derek Daly.
Indeed, here with Jimmy Vasser. Jimmy Vasser just been congratulated by Ross Cameron. Jimmy, the oldest man here, you think there's life in the old man yet?
Well,
I think there is. I still. Hey, thanks. No, it was we've been struggling to get the speed out of the car and have.
I don't care. Kevin Kalkoven, the owner here, one of the owners of this team, one of the owners of OWRS Champ Car, here to congratulate, because this is the best finish of this new young team, Jimmy.
Yeah, we're building it, and it's going to take some time, and we need to get some speed out of the cars. The Newman Haas cars are real quick, but we'll just keep working, try to make the car better. But the guys did a great job all weekend, keeping their heads up, and then, on race days when it counts, and we really worked hard today. So I'm happy for the boys at BKB.
Jimmy, Paul Tracy hit everything except the helicopter. Did you see any of those incidents?
Yeah, I seen him and Justin. It was, I couldn't tell if anybody was at fault. It's just a racing thing, and but heck, I just flew right by in my Gulfstream, and it was good for me.
Thanks, Jimmy. Well done. Enjoy the celebration.
Jimmy Vasser's best finish in 2004. Mario Haberfeld gets his best finish by far this year in 4th. Carpentier 3rd, but they all chase Sebastian Bourdais one more time.
I'll tell you what, that's not easy to catch a freight train that's out front either. Really clicking. Second year, knows the tracks, and it's showing up. He was fast last year, but made little mistakes at key times, and wow, it's really coming together in his second year.
Things fell well for Gaston Mazzacani and the Dale Coyne team. They get another top 10. He's 6th today. Tagliani, Hunter Ray was up in the top 3 before that last problem, the cut tire and the damaged nose.
Yeah, and that just shows the uncertainty of this race. He had some problems early on, but it ended up being an advantage having his green flag stops out of the way, and still not quite clear what happened between he and Carpentier on the last lap. Obviously, there was nose wing to tire contact. Whether that was a result of a block or a dice or what, we don't quite know.
Well, a wild day of racing here in the streets of Toronto. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage today. Sebastian Bourdais with his 3rd consecutive win. First time that's happened since the first 3 races a year ago, when champion Paul Tracy bagged 3 in a row on his way to a title-winning season. Bourdais in the points lead, as we predicted. Now with the 4 wins, he's got nearly a 30-point lead over his teammate Junqueira as we check the top 6 in the season standings. In 2 weeks, we're in Vancouver. Hope you can join us 2 weeks from today. That wraps up our coverage of the Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Toronto. Join us Sunday, July 25th. We will have live coverage of the Grand Prix of Vancouver, the next stop for the Champ Car World Series. From Vancouver, British Columbia, of course, the site of that great event. For Derek Daly and Calvin Fish and Tommy Kendall, I'm Rick Benjamin. Thanks for watching. We congratulate Sebastian Bourdais. So long from Toronto.